Hey there, welcome to Ionan's Edge. Today I'm presenting to you the QSP Swordfish. This is courtesy of the Apex Group. The specs on this knife, we've got a stone-washed 14C28N flat ground sheep's foot blade. We've got full milled nested stainless liners on the knife. Two-tone textured G10. Let's see if we can get a little glimpse of that texturing in there. You can maybe see that. There you go. Good looking knife. We've got a reversible wire pocket clip that can be lefty or righty. It's a button lock. And it is riding on ceramic bearings. We've got a usable fine edge on this thing of 3 3/8 of an inch. A scale length of 4 1/8 inches, and a tip to tail length of 8 1/8. The weight on this knife is 4.3 ounces. Again, stainless steel liner, so it's going to add a little bit of weight to it, but not too bad at 4 ounces. Impressions and first likes. First of all, the size of the knife and the blade shape hit me right away. If you've looked at QSP knives or held them, you know that they tend to kind of favor more of the small to medium, or as I call them, medium sized knives. They don't make a lot of knives that are kind of a little larger in size. This knife is in that category. So this little bugger is a little bigger than the average release from QSP. There are 3 deployment methods to this knife as well. So you've got a flipper tab, which works great. You've got a button lock, which you can flick it out there with if you want. And then finally, you've got your thumb studs. And they fire out there really nice as well. So all those work really, really good. The ergos on this knife are solid, simple, elegant, texturing, right? Wire pocket clip doesn't get in your way, doesn't jam into your hand anywhere. Plenty of room on this knife for pretty good sized hands. I have large glove sized hands. Here I am in hammer grip holding on to this knife, and you can see that there's still a little bit more knife here to go. If you have big hands, you might not care for this knife, right? But you can definitely get your hands on it. Well placed jimping here on the back of the spine, feels great. Can choke up like this and do utility cuts. Obviously you have a sheep's foot blade there, great for those kind of cuts. The knife carries really well in your pocket, despite the fact that you can hear that there's a lot of texturing on this knife. Let's see if we can get that to show up a little better. There you go. There's a lot of texturing on the black part of the G10. The knife does not catch your hand. The texturing doesn't scrape your fingers or any of that when you're sticking your hand in your pocket. It is deep carry, so it carries all the way to the top. You don't see any of the knife sticking out. The back is rounded. Disappears in your pocket. Carries effortlessly. Button locks nice and smooth. No button stick on it. Flicks out there every single time. So all those are good things. Like I said, fit and finish on the knife is solid. Blade centering looks good. Not a lot not to like here. All right, so are there any issues or dislikes that I found in the amount of time I've had the knife? There's a couple small things, and I'll point them out. The balance point on the knife is noticeably off. It is definitely handle heavy. It's not terrible, but again, the balance point is way back here. Here's your balance point. So that leaves a lot of knife. You'll notice that it still favors being a little handle heavy even back there, but it's pretty close. So that's one thing. And then the thumb studs on this could be 2 or 3 millimeters shorter and still function just fine. They fire out there really good, but what I notice is that they stick up above the sides of the scales a lot. Now it's obviously, there's some milling here for the release, for the button lock release, but once that goes into position there, it rides up a little proud too. That's common on most button locks and not a big deal. But the thumb studs, I think, could have been a little shorter. You have plenty of area here to get your thumb on there. So the style is great. I would have liked to have seen the stack height on these be about 2 to 3 millimeters shorter per side so that they don't stick out above the scales, and then there would be nothing here for you to catch your fingers on when you put your hands in and out of your pockets. The texturing's great, but I would have liked to have seen this not be quite so proud here. Again, they did use a stepped type of thumb stud, so it's not uncomfortable at all, but I did want to point that out to people. And then finally, there's one other thing here that I think is a functional thing that you should be aware of, and that is that there's not a lot of room at the bottom of this choil for you to sharpen. So if you sharpen this knife frequently, which hopefully you won't have to, but you're going to come back up here and get closer and closer to where the plunge grind is, and then that's going to create a smile, meaning your sharpening is going to go down the blade like this from tip to back, and then it's going to kind of go up and make a smile. If you don't know what that means, that's what we mean by it makes a smile. Would have liked to have seen this sharpening choil be a little deeper than it is, a little shorter plunge grind, a little deeper right here, give you a little bit more meat to work with before you got the blade to be flat to the plunge grind. So, small thing. And then one other small thing is I would have at least liked to have seen a screw for this side of the knife, because when you run your hand over this and when you're using the knife and stuff, you can feel a little bit of the sharp edges of the plastic. It would have been nice to put another screw in here. A plate would be great. I get that's a bigger cost thing to machine a plate, but a screw here, another bevel-headed screw like this one, would have been nice on this side of the knife, just so that you don't feel that sharp plastic edge from where the reversible lefty side of the pocket clip is. All right, so that's it. That's really all I've got on this. Two small things. The sharpening choil, I would like to have seen that increased, and maybe a screw for this. So let's get to some size comps for you. This is actually a pretty good size knife, and I'm going to show you that it is a pretty good size knife, because here it is next to a Spyderco Shaman. Okay, there's a Shaman, there's the Swordfish, exactly identical. Same length from pivot to pivot, handle length and blade length is there. It's a very good size knife. QSP did a good job putting out a bigger, little more beefier size knife. I'll show you it next to another knife in the Spyderco collection. That's the Yojimbo, which I used in another recent review. You can see that pivot to pivot, the Yojimbo is almost the same handle length, but obviously with the scalloping may or may not suit your needs. But then in the front here, we're looking at about a 1/2 inch of blade length that's missing off of this blade versus the Swordfish. So there's a couple of quick comparisons for you of a couple of other knives. So let me summarize. The Swordfish currently comes in 3 color ways or color variations. So you should be able to find something you like if this two-tone black and red doesn't suit your fancy. I kind of dig it. I think it's really cool. This is definitely not a show knife. It's more of a everyday carry work type of knife, good utility cutter. But there are 3 color options available for you. Depending on which one of those you choose, those color options can run you from $65 to about $75. In this configuration, $65 for good Stonewash 14C 20N. 28N, multiple deployment methods, solid button lock, no button stick on this thing, and reversible pocket clip, good handle texturing on the G10. So again, there's a lot to like here. I'm probably going to pick up one of these knives at some point in the not too distant future, I hope, and you might want to think about that too. So there you go, there's the QSP Swordfish, folks. Thanks as always for watching. Consider hitting the like button down here if you like this video, and maybe subscribing to my channel. If you enjoy the content, you'll get notifications on all my future knife reviews. Other than that, folks, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching again. Stay sharp, everyone.